Welcome to the fourth episode of April's occasional series, On a Mission with a Purpose. Today, April takes up the subject of post-incarceration syndrome, a cluster of psychological, emotional, and social difficulties experienced by formerly incarcerated individuals, often as a result of their time in prison. April also describes some of the habits she picked up while inside. Let's take a listen.
Hi, this is April, and here I am with the 98% Life After Prison podcast. Normally, my episodes are called On a Mission with a Purpose. Well, I guess I'm the one on the mission this time. I would like to talk about something called post-incarceration syndrome. This is a term used to describe the mental health challenges that people experience after being released from prison. Some of the symptoms are difficulty adjusting to life outside of prison, forming and maintaining relationships, trust issues, and substance use. NAMI, one of the organizations that I'm connected with, offers support for people re-entering society after incarceration. Now, post-incarceration prison disorder, PTPD, and post-carceral syndrome are other terms used to describe the same phenomenon. So, what is all this really about? Well, let me just kind of delve into why we do what we do. I've asked several people who have been in prison some of the things that they still do today that they did not do until they were incarcerated. And as I explain these things, I have to kind of explain what goes along with it too, why it kind of ties in together and why sometimes we're a little weird. Some people still wear their slides or their shower shoes, even at home. Now, prison is extremely nasty. So one thing you'll never do in prison is walk around barefooted. You always have these Dollar Tree slides on. And so if you're still wearing them around in your house, chances are you've been to prison. The sanitary napkins that we have that the officers only give out 2 at the time, when we were allowed to have cleaning things in prison, oftentimes we weren't allowed to have rags, and we would use whatever we could to clean up, those of us that wanted to be clean. So we would use our pads to wash our dishes with, which is just the plastic bowls that we have to keep in the sink, to wipe down our stainless steel toilet. So that's just an example of why we would use sanitary pads to clean with, whereas now we have, Clorox wipes and things like that. I think I mentioned that one of the things that I do is I still sleep with my head covered up. Well, that's just a sign of, days are so long and draining in there. When it's over and you cover up your head, you put your 10-cent earplugs in your ear, your crocheted blind around your eyes to make it as dark as possible because it's always light in there. Your dimmest day out here is your brightest day in there as far as light is concerned. Like you're never in the dark. You never get a chance to use your circadian rhythm in there because it's always daytime. So that's why I kept my head covered up, and that meant that you did not want to be bothered. Only the police, correctional officers, pigs, whatever you want to call them, only they would bother you if you had your head covered up or a friend in an extreme emergency. Another thing someone mentioned is it took him a year to stop whispering. Well, the lights go out at 10 o'clock, and it's against the rules to talk when the lights are out. So one thing that you best not be caught doing is talking after the lights go out, or they can throw you in a hole for that. I know, right? It's just another way for them to stifle who you are. They stifle your voice, speaking out, just to ask a question, just to be a voice. Anything they can do to try to stifle that. So when I finish, I'm in school for a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice. I felt like I had a lot of knowledge in that area after serving 31 and a half years. And I want to do a master's in forensic psychology because I want to dig a little deeper into why we do the things we do. And I know there will be other things that people come up with, but those are just a few of the things that I thought to mention about us. We that have been incarcerated are some of the most brilliant, magnificent, and wonderful people. But sometimes we come with some baggage, some damage, and a hell of a lot of trauma. You've got to realize not just me that it's done 31 and a half, but even if you've done 6 months in jail, you had to be in a situation that is considered abnormal. I think as far as my mental health is concerned, sometimes a little anxiety and overwhelmed just because I've had to reacclimate, and I think I've done really well, really fast. But, and I don't feel weird or anything, but some days, because I have to learn everything from scratch, my days are draining. I feel like I'm just going to school every day, like I'm taking a test every day. And as soon as the day is over and the sun sets, guess what I do? Cut my lights off as dark as I can get it, cover my head up, and go to sleep. If I want to go to sleep earlier, sometimes I'll take a melatonin. I've never done drugs, but before the end of my sentence, my anxiety was so bad. My head and my thoughts were racing so much because I was released under an executive order by the governor. And I got out the end of COVID. So everything was taking precedence over releasing me. It was always some order about a mask or lifting this restriction, extending this restriction, and so on and so forth. So, just the thought of maybe I was going to get out was greater than if I wasn't. I was used to doing time. Time was no big deal. I was doing it. It wasn't doing me. I had a life. But there was a slim possibility that I was about to have a new life, and that somewhat took a toll on me. Don't get me wrong. I would not trade it for the world. And as of March 24th of this year, just in a few days, I will be off parole. I had 3 years parole, and I no longer will have to worry about checking in to the PO once a month, them doing the drive-by visits every 2 weeks with Department of Corrections car pulling up in my driveway, making my neighbors look to see what's going on. I can just go on about my life, and no one will ever know that I was in prison unless I tell them. Or will they? Because I'm wearing shower shoes in my house. I'm sleeping with my head covered up, and I'm cleaning my dishes with sanitary pads. Well, I just wanted to shed some light on that. That was just really on my heart to share with all of you all. I just want you to know that all of you all will make it. You will adjust. It may take some time, but just know that you're going to make it. and do what you can to protect your mental health in there, and especially when you get out here. Thank you all, and have a great day. See you next time on the 98% Life After Prison podcast.
That's it for today. Join us April 1st for our next episode of the 98% Life After Prison. We'll learn about the use of solitary confinement in U.S. prisons and talk to a couple of men who have been changed by their time in isolation. We'll see you then.